Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be adjusting the sides of a bowed out raised bed, and I figured I would show you exactly how I did it. The materials I'll be using includes a nylon mason line. It's what I happen to have, but it's ideal because the mason line is acid, rot, and mold resistant. I've got an eye turnbuckle and a couple of screw eyes. The three raised beds I have in this area were made out of scrap wood that I found. I just found a stack of boards that were 6 feet long and 6 inches wide. I had enough of them to make two 9-foot by 3-foot beds that were 12 inches high, and then this last one is only 6 inches high. Ideally, during construction, I would have put a threaded bar across somewhere in the middle, but I didn't have any. My daughter had already cleaned out and weeded this bed for me, and I've just stuck in my pH meter to give it a test, and as you can see, it's maxed out my meter for alkalinity. The first thing to do was to move the soil away from the sides of the bed, and in particular to clear between the support posts that you can see on each side where it's bowing out. That's where the line is going to be stretched across. To hold the mason line, I first inserted the 2 screw eyes just above the soil line that you can see there, and as close to opposite each other as I could eyeball it. As for the mason line itself, I used the 3-foot width of the bed to measure out 2 lengths that were roughly 6 times the width of the bed, so approximately 18 feet long. For each of these, I folded them in half twice, because a single line would not be strong enough to do this. So I've got the 4, and on the folded end, I slipped that through the screw eye and looped it, as you can see here. The rest of it I figured out mostly by trial and error, and this has been the most successful way of pulling the sides together easily. I start by making a slip knot just a few inches away from the screw eye. For those of you who crochet like I do, this is the same knot that you would use to make your first loop on your hook. The other end of the strands was then looped through one of the eyes on the turnbuckle. Then the ends were slipped through the loop on the slip knot. Then the ends were slipped through the eye on the turnbuckle again. Then they were sent through the eye screw on the support post again. After doing this on the first side, I kind of snugged it up a little bit and then did a quick half hitch to secure it in place, then repeated the process on the other side. Before everything was snugged up tight though, I did make sure that the turnbuckle was completely open. Once the lines were in place, I could then start tightening up the one side and pulling in the bowed side of the bed. Once I got it where it looked mostly straight, I secured the line with a half hitch, then went back to the other side, undid the half hitch there, pulled that side in, secured it again. Then it was time to step back and take a look to see if the sides were as straight as I wanted them to be, or if I'd overdone it or whatever, and they look pretty good here. I did end up screwing the turnbuckle tighter just a little bit more, and that's the advantage of using a turnbuckle. If the bed starts to bow out again later or something like that, I can always tighten it up again some more, or loosen it if I need to. I added a few more half hitches at the eye screws just to make sure it's good and secure, tied a knot to hold the strands together, and cut off the excess. Once the sides of the bed were nice and straight, the soil was put back where it needed to be, along with the sulfur granules that I added to amend the soil and increase the acidity, and then give it a nice good watering. With all that done, the bed was covered up again with the plastic cover, and that's mostly to keep the cats from getting into it. You can see the sides of the cover seem to be beyond the sides of the bed itself, and that's actually because the cover frame is bowing outwards as well. This is all pretty makeshift and use what you got, but hey, whatever works, right? Anyhow, I hope you found this useful, and thank you for watching.